It's not individuals primarily who make great works of art. It's civilizations. You know, we often think of an artwork as a beautiful object we like to look at or listen to. But Heidegger's point is that we shouldn't really be thinking about art primarily in terms of something that gives us sensory pleasure. Our work is more basically a matter of expression. Art is really where people say what needs to be said. When I say what needs to be said, I mean it's not something optional. And therefore, the very being of the one expressing it is wrapped up in what's being said. And it's also not something that's said before. It wouldn't need to be said. So art, by its nature, is kind of the cutting-edge expression where people share with each other what it is that we need to say. And so, again, we often think of artworks as things made by individuals. And of course, at a basic level, any artwork has to be fabricated by individuals, either individually or collectively. Marble doesn't carve itself, paint doesn't get on the canvas by itself. So there will always be individual human bodily agents, doing that work. But the motivation for it, the sense of what it is that needs to be communicated, Heidegger says, is really coming from a culture, right? As individuals, we live in human communities, and that means we live within a shared way of making sense of our existence, a shared sense of what it is that a person is, what the world is, and what really matters. And that's what's being communicated in artworks. Art is really an essential human activity, and it's the way that within a shared life, within a community, within a culture, that way of seeing things that defines who we are is being articulated by us, for us. Right? We're telling ourselves, we're sharing with ourselves how it is that we really see things. So in his essay, The Origin of the Work of Art, Heidegger gives the example of a Greek temple. And the Greek temple is this beautiful geometrical structure that sits on the earth against the sky. And it stands there in its beautiful, pristine, geometrical perfection in a way that puts on display the raging storm, and the solidity and density of the earth and so on, and the animal life that roams around it. So Heidegger said that temple, in a way, communicates the understanding Greek culture had of the human relationship to the natural world. We understand ourselves to be part of this natural world, which the temple draws attention to, but we also understand our role within nature to be a little different from those things. And in particular, the human role is to perfect that natural world and bring it to a kind of conclusion that it can't quite come to on its own. And that understanding of what the human being is, right? The human being as being part of the natural world, but having a special power that allows us and indeed requires of us that we do creative, transformative things in the world. That's kind of the idea Greek culture was built around, and through their artworks, that culture was communicating to itself, like, this is how we see things. This is what we're doing. And so he says the temple, standing there, first gives to things their look and first gives to men their outlook on themselves. The temple is how that community shared with itself its worldview, its sense of how it understood things. And that's really how we should understand art in general. We should understand it not as some particular, optional thing someone happened to make because it pleased them. Art, in its deepest sense, is really the cutting edge of human culture, where what needs to be said is being brought to expression for the first time. And art, therefore, is in principle critical and transformative. It's saying what needs to be said, and therefore what you haven't already grasped. And so you can't really apprehend an artwork as an artwork if you're not going to be educated by it into seeing what you weren't seeing before.